Dan Perry here with another C++ tutorial for Dan on Tech. In this video we will look at for loops. Well, we've done if statements. We talked a little bit about the last for loops in the last video. Now what we want to do is an example of one, and I've got a variable here created called I, and I'm going to say for, and then I've got my parentheses that I put those three pieces of information I need. And if you remember, those three pieces of information are the starting value of our counter, the exit condition of our counter, and the change or increment of it. And so I'm going to use I equal to 0. So I'm going to, well, let's start at 1. I equal 1. And remember, that will assign the value of 1 to I. Then I have a semicolon. And then I'm going to say I less than or equal to 5. So I'm going to say start with I at 1. As long as I is less than or equal to 5, continue through the loop, another semicolon, and then how am I going to change I? And I'm going to use one of the shortcuts, and I'm going to say I++. Now, the shortcut I++ is the same as saying, and let me go ahead and put my curly brackets block here, and then I'll put a comment here in for us. That's the same as saying I equal to I plus 1. So that's a short form of saying I equal to I plus 1. So often we add 1 to a variable that we have this shortcut method of doing it. And let's just see out, and let's just say that I equals, and if I could type the right characters, I equals I, and we could do other things in the loop just like with if statements, but for purposes of seeing how the loop works, this is a very simple loop to do it with. And when we run this one, it comes up with the output, and on the different lines it's saying I equal 1, I equal 2, through I equal 5. Then it says after if. I probably needed to change that, and instead of saying after if, I probably should have changed that to after 4 so that we can see. But what has happened is it comes down to the loop. When it gets to the loop from the top, it sets I equal to 1. Well, it compares and tests. It says, is I less than or equal to 5? Well, it is, so that's true. So it comes in and executes the statements in the loop, then comes back up to the top, and it adds 1 to I. So now I has a value of 2. After it increments or adds the 1 to I, it looks and says, hey, is I less than or equal to 5? Well, yes, it is still. So it, for the second time, goes into the loop. Outputs, in this case, the I equal 2. Comes back, comes up to the top, adds 1 to I becomes 3, checks it, that's still less than or equal to 5, goes into the loop for the third time, outputs the I3 line, does the same thing with 4, then the same thing with 5 because we said less than or equal to. Once I is 5, it still goes into the loop for, in this case, the last time. Now it comes up to the top, adds 1 to I, so I becomes 6. Well, that's not less than or equal to 5, so this is now false, and it comes down and exits the loop structure. So that's the basics of how the if statement, or I'm sorry, the for loop works. Let's run this one more time, make a slight change in it, and I'm going to change that. Instead of less than or equal to 5, let's just make it less than 3 so it doesn't go through quite as many times. And I'm going to add another line after the loop that's going to output or print out the value of I again. I'm going to say after loop I equal, and to see what value I has when it finishes. So when I run it this time, it says 1, 2, and then it says after loop I equal 3. So if we walk through this one, it comes in at the for loop, sets I equal to 1, checks, well, that is less than 3, so it goes into the loop, it prints the I equal 1 line, gets to the end of the loop, comes back to the top, adds 1 to I is now 2, well, that's still less than 3, so it comes into the loop, it prints out the I equal 2 line, comes back to the top, adds 1 to I, so I is now 3. Well, that's not less than 3, so that's false now. So it skips down, exits the loop, and after that loop, once it exits the for loop, I does have the value of 3, that last value that it had. Well, thank you for watching this Dan on Tech video. Please subscribe to our to this playlist so you don't miss future videos, and please check out and subscribe to our other Dan on Tech channel playlists.